Hey guys, welcome to Spoken Words with T and J. I am Jay for John Tay. Welcome back to our channel. We appreciate all of you guys' support, and I hope you got through part one of the video, but this is actually part two of me speaking about my sister, how the enemy can actually use your family and siblings to not only destroy your family, but against you, turn the two of you guys against each other. And how I actually seen the enemy work in my sister's life and how it eventually led to me and my sister not speaking to each other anymore, and homelessness. But I had talked about how we became homeless in the last video. So I'm actually going to pick up where I left off. I had spoken about us being in Tennessee, my sister leaving Texas to Virginia, and then to come and get me. Ended up homeless, Jamie, all of that stuff happened. We ended up back with my dad. Her and my dad got into it. She got kicked out of my father's house, and then she ended up getting pregnant by her first baby dad's best friend, and she ended up being pregnant then. And around this time when she was pregnant with her second baby, she wanted to come and stay with me when I first got my own spot back in, I want to say it was like November. Yeah, it was like November or December of 2000. It was either the end of 2016 or the beginning of 2017. It was one of those two. I can't exactly remember, but I had moved out of my dad's place and I had moved into my own apartment. But me and my dad were neighbors. Like, we lived one building apart. We were literally neighbors. So my sister wanted to move in with me then, but I couldn't. I had gotten to a place where, y'all, I barely had anything for myself. You know what I'm saying? I was working a lot. I had so much debt when we left Tennessee. I owed banks money. I was behind on my car note. I was in debt with credit cards. Like, I had so much debt. I was clawing and not only that, but I was paying for our cell phone bills. I was paying for me and my sister's cell phone bill, you know, because I didn't like the fact that she didn't have a cell phone. So I remember in 2013, I bought her a cell phone and I put her under my plan with Sprint. And I was paying for both of our cell phones. So I was behind on so much. Our cell phones got cut off. I was like, I gotta get our cell phones back on. I would just told her, like, you can't live with me. I can barely care for myself. There's no way I'm gonna be able to care for you and, you know, my niece. I need to get myself back in order. Not only that, but I needed a little bit of peace. I felt like every time I was with my sister, there was drama that followed. Every time it was drama, it was arguments, it was people not getting along, fights breaking out. Every time I was around her, that's how I started to feel. So I was like, I'm not dealing with that in my own apartment. You know what I'm saying? When I got my own space now, I'm not about to deal with that. So I told her no. She didn't like that. This was before she found out she was pregnant. She didn't like that. And then she found out she was pregnant again. So what had happened was my dad had a birthday party. I was with my Somalian boyfriend at the time. We had went to my dad's birthday party. And they were just talking mad stuff about my sister. And turns out my sister was talking mad stuff about me to my cousin. So this is what happened. My sister found out she was pregnant again. I eventually let her come and live with me. I did. I let her come and stay with me. Y'all, so I had my car that I was paying a car note on. And I couldn't get the plates switched over because it was Tennessee plates on the car, but those plates eventually became expired. And when I kept trying to get the bank to send over the title to an Ohio bank or Ohio, title, and to get everything switched over to Ohio, they kept playing games. They were mad that I moved. They didn't like the fact that I moved states. So I couldn't get the title, and they didn't have memorandum titles. You know how, like, in Cincinnati, Ohio, and stuff, they give you a memorandum title so you can go, They don't have that in Tennessee. Tennessee, you had the actual title for the car. You didn't get a memorandum title. So I didn't have that to get plates switched over. So I was like, dang. Okay. So I ended up taking my plates off, and my sister had plates from her car. Now, mind you, when we were homeless the second time, when she came to Tennessee, my sister started losing everything. She left all of her stuff in that Texas apartment. She left a lot of her clothes, her shoes, even a lot of her baby stuff. This is where you start to see that pattern of my sister not caring about stability, right? And then on top of that, she ended up losing her car. So when I first moved out of that apartment into my car, and she lived in her car, we ended up leaving her car because it got towed. It got repoed because she didn't have any money to pay on the car note, and we both moved into my car. So she still had the plates to her car. So when my plates expired, she took the plates off her car and we put them on my car, just to kind of say I had up-to-date plates, because it still had an accurate date on there. But if they ran that plate, they would have seen it didn't belong to that car. But I was very careful. Okay, so it was expired. The what do you call it? Registration was expired. It had fictitious plates on it. Like, I could have gotten a lot of trouble driving that car, but I was driving it. Okay, so my sister comes to stay with me. I ended up going to an auction with my dad and my boyfriend at the time, and we got me a new car because my dad was like, you can't keep driving that car. You're gonna get yourself in trouble. You can get in a lot of trouble driving that car. So we ended up getting me a new car. My sister comes to stay with me, and I remember one time I worked night shift. I would get off work at like 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning. I remember I got home and I felt like my car moved spots. I was like, did you see it? He was like, it do look like it moved over a spot, but I'm not always sure. I'm like, all right, okay, I left it be, right? I noticed that twice. And so one time I had gotten sick and I did not feel good, so I didn't plan on going into work the next day. I just told my boyfriend at the time, I said, look, I'll drop you off at work and then I'm coming back home. I don't feel good. Ray told me she was taking her daughter to the park. She was like, hey, I'm about to take her to the park. Have a good day at work, blah, blah, blah. All right, cool, bye. So she goes, she leaves, she walks to the park. She walks her daughter to the park. So I get up. I drive him to work. I come back, y'all. Why, when I came back after dropping him off, my car was gone. I was like, my car is gone. So I went into the house. My sister had taken the keys. I went over to my dad and was like, did you notice like my car being driven throughout? And he said, yeah. And he was on the phone with my Aunt Kay. And he was like, my Aunt Kay was like, wait a minute. That she listed my car. I said, yeah. She's like, yeah, your sister drove that over here. I said, she drove it over to your house? She was like, yeah, your sister been driving. She said she been driving that car everywhere. She would wait for me to go to work and then take my car. The car that can get me in a lot of trouble. Okay, she never asked me. And she would wait for me to leave. Because mind you, she just took her daughter to the park. She waited for me to leave for work because she knew what time I went in and what time I came out. And then she took the keys and drove off. I got angry, y'all. I got angry. And I got tired of my sister feeling entitled to things that belong to me. Because this wasn't the first time I had seen it. I seen it with Kelly. When I had lost everything, when I told y'all I lost everything after moving out of that apartment, my sister went and cleared everything out of the apartment and cleared everything out of the storage, which is good. She gave everything that belonged to me to Kelly. All of it. And when I was like, this is my old bed, this is my bathroom, this is my bedroom, and whatever, it ain't yours. They took my clothes, like it was Aeropostale shorts and stuff I seen. They was taking my clothes. They took my shoes. She was wearing outfits my mom had bought me, Kelly. I was like, y'all took my stuff. It ain't your, oh, well, you ain't want to pay for the storage to keep it in there. I went and cleaned that entire apartment out. I did this, therefore it's mine. No, I didn't have no control over that. But yeah, and that was a pattern for my sister. Even when she lived with me in Tennessee, she took my stuff, y'all. Like, it became a pattern for her. When we moved in with my dad, I had a little bag that had my underwear and stuff in it. My sister literally moved the underwear, my bag with my underwear, took my underwear out and started putting her daughter's stuff in there. And she started using it as her diaper bag. I said, that's not yours. And she took the diaper bag she did have. Y'all, that bag was dirty. It had dirt on it. It was messy. I was like, and she put my underwear in there and hung it back on the door. I said, you didn't ask me if you could take my bag. It's just a bag. Why are you always being dramatic over everything? It's just a bag. I said, that's where I kept my stuff. So what? Oh, well, I took it. I got it. I said, that wasn't yours. You had a diaper bag. What you taking my bag for? Well, because that one was getting dirty and dingy or whatever, and I wanted a new one, and this one was bigger, so I took this one. You didn't ask me. I don't got to ask you. Y'all, I got tired of my sister acting like she would treated me like this for years. I called the police and reported my car stolen. And they came. And guess what? I had to tell him my actual plate. When he seen it, I remember a bunch of red flashing on his screen. He said, she's driving this car. He said, yeah. I hope you know, he said, you get in a whole lot. He said, not only would this car get impounded, you would be in a whole lot of trouble. And he was talking about tickets. Like, I would be paying tickets out the wazoo, and I would have to go to court. He was like, you would be in a whole lot of trouble if she got caught in this car. A whole lot of trouble. So, I ended up calling my sister. And I was like, where are you? She was like, I said, don't even lie. I know you got my car. I just reported it stolen. She said, oh my God, I can't stand you. You always doing the most. You know I got your daggone car. You knew I been had your car. No, I didn't. That was a lie. But she had told my Aunt Kay and them, when they saw her in my car, they was like, oh, that's Noe's car. Whose car is that? She was like, oh, it's Tay's. And she's like, she know you got her car? She was like, yeah, she knows. I didn't know. She was lying. I said, you knew what you was doing. I said, you could get, I said, right, if I'm not even driving the car, why are you driving the car? If I'm not driving it because I know it's going to get me in trouble, why would I ever let you drive it? And she's like, that's why I didn't ask you, because I knew you was going to say no. So you just took it upon yourself to drive my car? Like, hello? She did not care. She cussing me out on the phone, y'all. She get there. She pull up. Not only that, but her daughter's not even 2 yet. She's like 1.5 or something. But mind you, she's pregnant. But, you know, her daughter's not even 2 years old yet. She don't have her daughter's not in the car seat. She's not in the car seat. So not only did the cop see that, he said, and your daughter's not even in the car seat. So now you driving with an underage baby. You have a baby in your back seat with no car seat. And you got this car, you know, my sister going off, why? And she doing too much. She's like, I needed diapers for Riley. And I needed this from the store. And the cop looked at her and said, there's literally a Rose's across the street. And there's a Kroger that's 10 minutes walking. And he ain't lying. Because before, me and my sister used to walk to those when we were teenagers. Because I moved back to North Creek Apartments. We used to walk to those places. They were in walking distance. So he wasn't lying. He was like, you could have walked across the street. You could have walked up. Well, whatever. Forget what you talking about. And he was like, you need to apologize. He said, you could have gotten your sister in a whole lot of trouble. Man, I just need you to stay right here. He said, just stay right here. Let me run some stuff. My sister didn't stay right there. She took her daughter and she walked up the steps. He said, did she just leave? I just stood there. He said, He went upstairs. She cussing the car. I don't give a F what you talking about. F you. F what you talking about. She's your man. I can't stand. I'm moving out anyway. She called my Aunt Kay to come pick her up. She going off. She cussing the cop out. The cop was like, at this point, I wasn't even going to do anything. He said, I was going to give you a warning. But since you want to be so disrespectful, mind you, again, with that word, everybody was calling her disrespect. Since you want to be so disrespectful, I'm going to give you a ticket. And he said, you know what? I'm not even going to give you a ticket for taking your sister's car. I'll go ahead and give you a ticket because you didn't have your daughter in the car seat. He gave her a ticket because she didn't have her daughter in the car seat and she was underage. So he wrote a ticket out. Oh my gosh. And I looked at her. I said, so you ain't going to say? She said, whatever. I ain't got nothing to say to you. You just always being dramatic. You always doing too much. You know I had your car. I don't have to ask whatever. You knew I had. What, you expect me to be in this house all day and not be able to go nowhere? No accountability. None. But this was a pattern for her. This is who she had become. Mind you, like, if you watch the last video, like, look. And I remember my sister, when we would sit down and talk when we lived in Tennessee, I remember she would sit down and talk. Her glory days to her, y'all, was in high school. She was like, I remember I was the it girl. She was like, all the dudes wanted me. I was so pretty. Like, they, this, that, and the third. My sister was still very beautiful. Don't get me wrong. She was. Even when we going through all of this. But I hate to say this, she became ugly on the inside. The inside of her became ugly. She became this disrespectful, rude, I don't give a F sympathy seeker. She started seeking sympathy. Everywhere we went, she had to tell her story about what happened with my dad used to abuse me. My mom didn't love me. My dad used to abuse me. My mom didn't love me. Every time she ran into somebody, she told them that story. Every time she became friends with them, she told them that story. To the point where I was looking at her like, girl, you ain't got to tell everybody you meet that story. A lot of people didn't even know that I went through this because I said that was the difference. We went through a lot of the same things. I did not see myself as a victim. That was the biggest difference between me and my sister. I didn't see myself as a victim. She did. She saw herself as a victim. She didn't see God's glory. She didn't see God's victory. I did. I said, I don't care. I have control over my life. Now, I'm not a victim. But after that situation, my Aunt Kay told her she was wrong too. She said, she was like, did you tell her? Did you ask her if you could use her car? And she was like, no. She said, then you wrong, right? She said, how you gonna look at her and get mad at your sister? She had a right to do what she did. You could, because everybody was saying the same thing. You could have gotten her in a whole lot of trouble. And my sister did not care. She was looking at her benefit. I don't care. And that's what she would say. I don't care. So then she ends up living with my Aunt Kay, and she ends up living with my cousin Ian, right? She pregnant. Okay. So she going off. She's angry at me. So fast forward, I mentioned this in the last video, part 1. I talk about my dad's birthday party. I'm here at this birthday party. And my cousin Ian is telling me how my sister is mad because me and her had a plan, which we did, of like moving in together, building together, growing together. But every time we tried, everything went wrong. Every time we tried. And then it was always on my shoulders. She never was the one making money. She never was the one paying for stuff. When we was homeless in both our cars, I paid for all the food. I paid for all the gas. I paid for Riley to be good. I was paying for everything. She wasn't paying. Even when we would have got an apartment, I would have been paying all the bills. And she didn't want to work, y'all. And every single time somebody would tell her sis, after she had Riley, she used her daughter as an excuse not to work. So my dad would be like, Ray, you need to get a job. Being a full-time mom is a job. That was her answer. My Aunt Kay, Ray, girl, you need to get a job. Being a mom is a job. My cousin Ian said the same thing. Girl, you need to get a job. Being a mom is a full-time job. It's a full-time job. I am working. And I said, Ray, I think they're talking about a job that comes with a paycheck, not excuses. And I'm looking like this is supposed to be the time you're supposed to be hustling. You know what I'm saying? You're supposed to be hustling like no other because you have a child to provide for. This is when you seen that instability. She did not care about stability, but it mimicked her childhood, right? Being moved all around and stuff, never being stable, steady. So after that birthday party, I remember me and Ray ended up linking back up. But she blamed my dad too. She said it was my dad's fault that she got pregnant again, because if he had never kicked her out, she would have never got pregnant. She would have never had to move in with her, baby daddy's best friend, and she would never got pregnant. I was like, he didn't tell you to sleep with him. He didn't make you, first of all, he didn't make you go there. He didn't make you sleep with him, and our dad's not the reason why you got pregnant. But she blamed my dad for that. She's like, it's his fault that I'm pregnant, because if he would never kick me out, this would never happen. Again, she never took an account. And she did. She blamed my dad for her second pregnancy. She said it's his fault. Okay. So me and my sister linked up again. And I remember I was telling her the stuff that I was hearing at the party. And my sister would always kind of gaslight me and be like, every time I would confront her about stuff that was being said about her, even stuff I was hearing that she was saying about me, she would always say the same thing. Do that even sound like me, Tay? Do I even sound like that? Like, come on, you know me. Me and you have always been the closest out of everybody else in the family. Do that even sound like me? They just trying to turn you against me. They just trying to break us up. Remember, me and you always supposed to be close. We the strongest one out of all mamas and daddy's kids. Like, come on now. You know that's not me. I would never, I'm here for you. Say for real, they think you're dumb. They think you stupid. They treat you like you dumb and like you weak. Now, she wasn't wrong. They did think I was dumb and they did think I was weak. But I realized it was because I was blind to her. Not because of who I was. But they was like, they think you stupid. They think you this. They think you that. And she wasn't wrong. And I would just be like, okay, I knew she was lying though. Because she didn't know that I knew that she took my car over to our Aunt Kay's house. Just to chill. She didn't know I knew that. And I never disclosed that to her. Not yet anyway. So anyway, we keep going. Me and my Somalian boyfriend don't work out because of religious differences. I already touched on this. And then I meet Messiah's dad, my oldest son's dad. None of my boyfriends liked my sister. My Somalian boyfriend actually was the first one to look at me and say, not the first one. He also told me my sister was jealous. He was like, I think your sister got a little jealousy towards you. I was like, what? He said, she do. She got a little jealousy towards you. And he was like, honestly, I feel like she's using you. And he said that because, y'all, my sister finally got her own place after leaving my cousin N's house. She got her own place. I remember she got her own place on government assistance. So she was paying them through government assistance. It was a privately owned property. And this woman had a husband and she had children, right? And I remember my sister had issues paying her electric bill and her rent. Of course, she paid her rent through the government assistance, but she still had to pay her electric bill. She couldn't pay both with it. So we was trying to figure out she with my dad. You know, they was trying. I didn't really care, but they was like, how the heck did she pay her electric bill then? My sister told me, she said, no, her husband was paying my electric bill. And I said, he paid your electric bill? She said, yeah. He seen me with the 2 kids because she had her son, gave birth to her son. She's like, yeah, he seen me with them and, you know, he's paying my electric bill. My dad was like, your sister's lying. And he said, your sister is he called her a 304. And then he said, she's sleeping with that dude. I said, what? He was like, she's sleeping with, she's saying, and she did tell me this. She said the wife, because the wife had started acting funny towards my sister, and she did. She started nitpicking at my sister with certain stuff when it came to visitors and guests and the rent. You know, she did. I noticed it because she would do it when I was around. I went to go visit my sister. But my sister said it was because she was jealous of her. Same thing she said about Kelly. Her and Kelly fell out and Kelly bleached all her clothes. She said, well, Kelly was jealous because I went out on crew. I started having a life and she didn't. So she was jealous. It was every time her and Teresa were best friends even after they left high school. However, every time Teresa would get a new girlfriend, Teresa would stop talking to my sister. Now that I do believe was jealousy. The girlfriend she had would be jealous of my sister. But why is that? Ray was like, because Teresa had feelings for me. And every single time, you know, a girlfriend would come into the picture, they get jealous of me and Teresa cuts me off. And that was a pattern with her and Teresa. So I'm like, okay. And I remember she was like, the wife is jealous of me. She don't want me here no more, blah, blah, blah. I was like, okay. I was getting upset. And my Somalian boyfriend was like, yeah, I feel like your sister is jealous of you and I feel like she's using you. So I would pick my sister up and her daughter, drop her daughter off at daycare, drop my sister off at school because she wanted to be a masseuse. And then I would go to work, get 2-3 hours of sleep, very little sleep. I would pick my niece up from daycare and my sister, drive them back home, and then I would go into work. And at this time, we were working 6/12s because it was like close to peak season. Yeah, I was exhausted. I wasn't getting any sleep. And it got to the points where he was like, you got to stop this. He said, this is running you into the ground because I was falling asleep behind the wheel and everything. I was falling asleep at work. I was falling asleep behind the wheel. He was like, no, you can't do this no more. And I remember I was telling my sister I was exhausted. I said, Ray, I'm exhausted. I don't know if I can come get you today. And she would just make me feel guilty for it. See, every time you needed me, I was there for you, which is false, actually. I was there for you, but you can't even be there for me when I need you. What do you, so I'll get up and go do it. Until eventually I put that line in the sand. I told her, no, I can't do this for you no more. And so if she couldn't go to school, she blamed me. I can't go to school no more because see, that's what I'm talking about. My family ain't never there for me. They don't ever show up for me. Even my own sister, like she's just thinking about herself and she's so tired. I kid y'all not, that's how she sounded. She's so tired. She can't take me back and forth to school. I was the only one helping her with her daughter too. And when it did come that time, it was a time my sister, cause she was working at Best Buy before her son came, and she was working at Best Buy. She quit her job after her baby was born, right? I was watching her daughter I was watching my niece. And then she had fell short on rent. I used all of my savings to help her pay her rent. I was helping. I was doing everything I could. But she wasn't telling other people that. She was telling other people I wasn't doing anything for her and it was just my fault. And I'm like, okay. So she ended up getting evicted from that place, y'all. That lady quit. She did not take that government assistance money. She was like, she wouldn't take the government assistance money anymore. And she kicks me out. I was upset because my sister had a newborn. I'm like, you gonna kick this woman out with a newborn? But y'all, I believe because the Holy Spirit told me years later she was sleeping with that man's husband, and that's why he was paying for her electric bill. But I denied it at first. I was telling my dad, like, no, you just always want something wrong to be with her. My dad would get angry with me because he'd be like, how is she so blind to this girl? I'm like, nah, you lying. Da, 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 da. So, yeah, she ended up not being there no more. And then I ended up moving in with Tannis. Because I was still living in North College here with me and Tannis met. And then I ended up moving in with him. And then I remember, where did my sister go? Oh, yeah, she went to Avondale. She was in homeless shelters for a little minute. Back and forth, praise her, bless her heart. But then she ended up getting her own place in Avondale. That's when she lived in Avondale. And yeah, it's just some of the stuff I forgot even happened. This stuff is coming back to me. Jesus. The enemy was working. I pray. Jesus. My sister moved to Avondale. Tannis didn't like my sister either. He didn't. My sister didn't like Tannis either. They didn't like each other. And I remember he kind of just felt like, again, the same way the rest of them did. He was like, man, your sister jealous of you. I remember I ended up, me and my sister, we were cool. We were actually cordial for a while. She actually was doing good when she lived in Avondale at first. She was. She started having all this drama with her neighbors. All of this drama with her neighbors. This is when I feel like she started reaching back to people in the past. So she tried reaching back out to Darrell. Darrell stayed with her for a little bit. And she felt like Darrell was her twin flame. Me and Tannis ended up getting evicted. I was 8 weeks pregnant. Just found out I was pregnant. We got evicted and had to move in with my dad's, in my dad's girlfriend's place. We was there for about a month, and then we ended up getting a 2-bedroom, 1.5 bath apartment. Praise God. So we ended up moving there. My sister helped us move in there. And that's when you kind of start to see her entitlement come back. And I remember they would come over, her and the kids would come over, and they would come over with her son's father. I didn't like him. I didn't like him at all, but he came over. They came over with the son's father. And I remember Tannis and him would just sit there while me and my sister would tend to the kids, and we would cook sometimes, and they would play the game or whatever. But I remember my sister kind of started taking stuff again. Sometimes she would come over, we would have glasses of wine, sit, talk. One time we went in the bathroom and put on makeup. I think actually I was still pregnant at this time. Excuse me, my son wasn't born yet. I was still pregnant at this time. And I would go in, I would put on makeup. We would be like, go out, show them, just doing like girl stuff. And then she started telling me about Darrell and how he came back into the picture. Her and her baby daddy would be on and off, 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 arguing a lot. Now, granted, obviously she wasn't living with him anymore. She been stopped living with him because she said that he never paid bills. I think he didn't have to. He was living where was it? The Faye. He lived in the Faye. Same place Kelly lived in her little townhouse. She lived in the Faye. And I don't even remember why I let her come stay with me. That's why she left. But she was pregnant. So, I mean, he would come and go, but they would get into a lot of arguments. Their relationship was kind of toxic. She told me that Darrell was selling drugs out of her house. So she kicked him out. I don't know if that was true. Because I was like, I thought he was your twin flame. I thought he was this. I thought he was that. And she kind of started giving me attitude, giving me looks and stuff. Like, I now believe my sister would lie to me about her breakups. She was lying to me about why these guys wasn't, you know what I'm saying? Because after my son was born, Darrell and her had gotten back close while I was still pregnant. So I was still pregnant at this time. And she let him stay with her. And then I had given birth to my son. I had seen Darrell again. What's up? He said, oh, you had the baby. Congratulations. I said, it's been a long time. You know, so he's like, yeah, And then they fell out. And when I was asking her what was going on, I remember him, Darrell, and Tannis had a talk. They were sitting on there having a talk. And me and my sister had went to go get everybody a bottle. So we was at her house, and they was watching the kids while we left. And I remember at this point, my sister started getting into a lot of arguments with her neighbors. I mean, drama. And I remember my car had gotten stolen too. I had let my sister borrow my car before. This was, because I'm jumping all over the place now. This is stuff coming back to my memory. My car had gotten stolen out there before too. And I remember she got mad at me because her books and stuff I let her borrow my car, and I guess I can tell that story. I let her borrow my car when I was still living with Tannis in that little one-bedroom apartment. This was right before I found out I was pregnant. And I let her borrow my car because me and Tannis would always drive his car anyway. And I remember getting a call from her, and she is going off on me on the phone. If you want to, I'm like, she going off on me on the phone. Phone call, but text message. But she's still going off on me through the phone. Like, and I had a bunch of missed calls from her. And I was like, I woke up like, what's going on? And I was like, she did not see one of the text messages said, if you wanted your car back, you could have just said that. Just give me my stuff. And I said, I called her. I said, hello? She was like, yeah, why you take your car? If you wanted your car back, you could have just said that. I said, I didn't take my car. And she said, you didn't take your car? I said, no. She was like, oh, no. I said, oh, no. What you mean? Oh, no. She was like, say, your car gone. What? She said, Tay, your car is gone. It's stolen. So I had an extra key in my car. Of course, that wasn't smart. I would keep an extra key in my car. And unfortunately, the passenger door side wouldn't lock all the way. So when you click the button thinking it wouldn't lock, you would have to lock it manually in order for all 4 doors to be locked, right? But unfortunately, they had checked all the doors, seen the passenger door was open, looked through the car, found the key, and then stole my car. But that wouldn't have made a difference because the person, I ended up finding out who did it. They would have just busted the window because it was like literally 5-6 other cars that they had did the same exact thing to, and they busted their window. So it didn't matter. The car would have gotten stolen regardless. But again, my sister had to blame me. It's your fault. Who leaves a spare car key in their car? That was just stupid, Tay. Like, that was very stupid. I lost my books and stuff because of you. Like, I lost my books and stuff because of you. I'm like, okay, Ray. Like, okay, yeah, sure, it's my fault. So fast forward back to where I was at. I'm just showing you, like, her pattern at this point, right? And leading up to why I eventually had to stop talking to her. So, fast forward back, right, to her and Darrell. You know, she told me, she would tell me like, because he actually had a baby mama and he had 2 kids with this woman. And she was like, he living in my house, but he paying her bills. He making sure she good. He making sure them babies good. He making sure they all good, sending her money and stuff. I'm not seeing none of that money. He ain't giving me none of that money. He ain't giving me this. And she going off. I said, Ray, that's his job. Those are his biological children. He's supposed to take care of his kids. He's supposed to make sure the baby mama's straight so that his kids are straight. Clearly, if he's living with you, he's not stable. So he has to make sure that they at least good enough that they could, you know, still have clothes, shoes, food, so on and so forth. Like, he's doing what he's supposed to be doing. Well, I need that. He need to be giving me that. He need to be helping me take care of my kids. This is when I know my sister wanted to be saved, right? Because now she was a single mom. She had to pay her own bills. She was living by herself, so on and so forth. And her going back to the time that him, Tannis, and Darrell was talking, and we went to the store, right? Came back, they both got super quiet. Y'all, they was acting weird. So we knew they was talking about us because they started acting weird. So when we got home that night, we had a few drinks, laughs, whatever. I asked Tannis, and I was like, what did y'all talk about? And he told me some bro code. Bro code? I'm sorry, sir. We're together. There's no such thing as no bro code. I done had the baby at this point. We done been through so much other. No, it ain't no bro code, especially if y'all was talking about me. You get what I'm saying? I felt like that was so disrespectful. But I was like, there is no bro code. So he was like, look, he didn't really tell me what he said. He didn't tell me what he said, but he told me that what Darrell said. He was like, Darrell said, she want me to save her. She want me to save her. She want me to pay all her bills, take care of her kids. She don't want to work. He's like, she don't want to work. She wants me to save her, and I'm not about to save her. Can't nobody save her. He said that's the only reason why she let me into her house. It wasn't because she genuinely loved me or because she wanted to be with me. It's so that I could get her out of whatever she feels like she's in. So he was real with it. He was like, I'm taking it. He was pretty much taking advantage of the situation. Because he needed a place to stay. So her and Darrell ended up splitting. And my sister grew a little colder with each breakup. After that, my dad had given my sister a car because my sister didn't have a car for a while. So shortly after, my dad had given my sister this red truck. And I remember I told her not to take this truck from my father. I was like, do not take this truck from him because you, from the other stories in part 1, y'all already, my dad and my sister don't get along at this point. She don't need to be accepting anything from him. She don't need to be, you know what I'm saying? It's always an ulterior motive or there's always something that goes wrong. I was tired of being in the middle of a mess. I was like, look, you do not need, but I did not know, y'all, this was the enemy the entire time. And I can tell y'all this, not once did I ever get on my knees and pray for my family. I was in the middle. I didn't pray for myself. I didn't pray for myself. I didn't pray for my family. I didn't really realize that the enemy could use your family to go against you and treat you as the black sheep. When they call you the black sheep, that is literally the enemy using your family against you. There's nothing but toxicity. There's nothing but chaos, drama. There's no peace. That is the enemy using your family to literally black you out. To keep you, what's the word I'm looking for? To keep you from getting to your destiny, pretty much. And he knew that the one that I wanted the closest relationship with besides my mother was my sister. He used that against me. So let me continue on with my story. So, I told her not to take this truck, but she took it. She put a new battery in it. And I was like, all right, whatever. Maybe they're getting along. We had a great Christmas. It was my baby boy's first Christmas. We had a good time, you know. Y'all. So me and Tannis have a great evening, right? I think my son was with his great aunt at the time because she wanted to watch him. So me and Tannis got some time to ourselves. So we had a great night. You know what I'm saying? We was watching American Horror Story. He didn't watch him play the game. We had a great night. I get a call talking about some Yeah, this is Hamilton County JFS. What? They was like, yeah, we are trying to get in contact with one of Krishanda Dejan. Is this her sister? Yeah. Okay, well, we need the kids to go somewhere so they won't end up in foster care. And I said, foster, what happened? Ma'am, we'll explain more when we get there. I gave them my address. They came up with my niece and my nephew. What happened? This is what happened. Okay, this is what happened. So, my sister had a neighbor. She said it was a bigger woman. And remember I told you she started having a whole lot of drama with her neighbors, correct? My sister had an argument with this neighbor. She said she was downstairs in the laundry room trying to get laundry or something. And my niece was right there. And this lady starts arguing with her. They're going back and forth. And she said that this is one of the ones she's been having drama with for a while. She said this woman pulls a knife out on her. They start fighting and tumbling or whatever. And my sister calls the police. My sister calls the police on the neighbor. And when she calls the police on the neighbor, they arrest my sister because she found out she had a warrant out for her arrest from my father. And she ended up going to jail for assault. I'm about to tell y'all what happened. For aggravated assault, she ended up going to jail. I'm going to tell y'all what happened. That red truck that I told her not to take from my father, right? So my dad kept trying to get my sister to sign the car over to her name and to pay for the car insurance because he was paying for everything on the car. She put a new battery in it. He kept trying to get her to transfer the car over to her name and she refused to do it. And she even told me she wasn't going to do it. She was like, I'm not going to do it. That's my father. He's supposed to be doing stuff like that for me. He ain't never did that stuff for me. You supposed to get cars for your child. You supposed to hand them stuff like that. He's supposed to give this to me. He's supposed to pay for this car insurance. I shouldn't have to do none of that. Okay, sure. So my dad ends up going to take the car because my Uncle Jay wants the car. So he said, I'm not about to keep doing this. So he's getting ready to sell the car to my Uncle Jay. They both drive to my sister's house. My sister gets angry. She goes, she takes the battery out the car so my dad can't get it, goes back inside the house. My dad's standing outside saying, come here yelling, whatever. My sister comes outside with a knife. Comes outside with a knife. My dad cussing her out, calling her 304s and all types of B's and this, that, and the third. They getting into it, right? And my dad, I forgot how he got the car started. I think either he took the battery. Oh no, he called the police. That's what happened. He ended up calling the police. And he was like, the cops were like, okay, but is this his car? Because the title was still in my dad's name. It was his car, which means he had the legal right to come and take it. And she was like, because at first she wouldn't let the police in. She was being disrespectful to the police again. And they looked at her and they wrote down that she was obstructing. The only reason why I noticed is because when I looked at the police report, the police put that in there. They said she was very disrespectful. She wouldn't open up the door. She started cussing at them. They said obstruction of justice. And then they said aggravated assault with a knife. So they got the battery back from my sister and my dad put it in the car and they drove off. He ended up going to the sheriff's office and filing a case against her. She didn't know he did this. Obviously, none of us did. She didn't know that he did this. So when she called because that neighbor pulled a knife out on her and they got into a fight, right? And Riley was like, she hit my mommy. I'm like, poor baby's going through this, right? So I'm like, okay. The police arrested my sister because they found out she had a warrant out for her arrest because my dad went down to the sheriff's office and said this was aggravated assault. My dad had no right to do that. I'm going to be honest. He had no right to do that. Was it a messy situation? Yes. But he went a little too far when he did that. He went too far. Like, you going to go to the sheriff's office for aggravated because she pulled a knife out on you. How much have you done, sir? How much have you done? The issue is no one wants to take accountability for their actions, but they want to hold everybody else accountable and get everybody else in trouble when they're doing the same exact thing. He had no right. I'm like, okay. And God is working on my heart, trust me. Because I remember certain things I started getting angry about. You don't know you forgave something until you no longer feel nothing about it. I have forgiven a lot. I've forgiven my childhood, but there's certain stuff that I put in the back of my mind, you know what I'm saying? That when he brings back to memories, you know, you get mad again, like, oh no! Like, God is like, forgive. And so I'm forgiving these things. But he still had no right to do that. But he did. My sister was in jail. And I had to watch my niece and nephew until she got out. I don't remember how long she was in there, but she eventually got out. And they had to go to court. And my dad never showed up to court, so the case got dropped. But this is when we're getting to the tail end of me and my sister no longer talking. So me and Tanis are still together. Our relationship kind of starts to fade. Oh yeah, and the guy I'm with now, Tobias, he also told me my sister was jealous of me. Mm-hmm. He told him, He can, do you want to tell why you felt that way?
Oh man, so get it in camera.
Because he met my sister a couple times.
So there was a couple stories, a couple things that happened why I say that she was jealous of her. One, I remember she had told her that me and her was close or whatever, right? Mm-hmm. So she tells us that we're close and stuff. You know, I'm in the mines and I see her sister and stuff like that. Now, she know me and her sister cool and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. Okay? Her sister started giving me, you know, that look like, what's up? I'm like, you know, at first I thought it was Tay trying to say like, oh, what's up, my boy? Like, you know, stuff like that. But I recognized as her sister. I'm like, well, why is she looking at me like the way she's looking at me? You know what I'm saying? So I ended up telling Tay later on about it and stuff like that. Like, nah, your sister was trying to talk to me like with the eyes. She wasn't saying nothing, but the eyes said that. Then we had another time where, what did I get y'all? Y'all said y'all wanted some breakfast.
Breakfast.
White Castle.
Mm-hmm. You got some breakfast.
I got her some White Castle and stuff like that. So I didn't know that her sister was going into my locker to get the White Castle out the fridge, out the White Castle out the locker. You know, so she go get the stuff out the locker and stuff, and I'm like, you know what I'm saying? I said, she like, well, she gave me a look or whatever. But every time I seen it, it was a look of like, you could tell she had that jealous look on her. Then we had another time where I was telling Tay about a dream. Okay, so when I told her about the dream and stuff like that, this is back where she was dating Mandy at the time and stuff like that.
No, I think I was still with Tanis.
With the dream with the car? No.
Oh, that's when I had first started dating Mandy. First, yeah.
First, but it's been like, it's just different things, and I used to see how she used to just be like,
manipulating the dreams.
Like trying to manipulate the dreams stuff. So I tried to tell Tay, and I was like, no, this dream mean this. And
he was trying to warn me.
And I was trying to warn her.
And my sister
said the complete opposite. Oh, that dream was to keep Tobias, supposed to keep Tobias away from you.
Yeah, and she was telling me to stay away. She told me Tobias wasn't good for me. He was a snake. She said Tobias wanted to sleep with me and never leave his wife, and that he was going to try to sleep with me and tell everybody in the warehouse about it. That's what she told me. She's like, you need to stay away from Tobias.
But yeah, it was just stuff like that, and I was just like, nah, it was just, I had that feeling like, nah, your sister is jealous of you, bro. Like, I can tell by the way she acting, the things that she doing, the things that she's trying to say. You know what I'm saying? She'll try to talk to me on the phone. So I'm like, I don't even want to hear nothing what you got to say, bro.
She
like,
did.
I don't need to talk to you, bro. Because nah, look, Tay, I'm telling you, it's this. You know what I'm saying? And then when she told, what was that? What she told Manny? That man, was friends and stuff like that, was cool and stuff like that. Cool. Then I remember telling her, I said, no, she's jealous. That's why she told her that. Because
told him that. Because at the time, me and Tobias didn't even tell Manny that we were friends. He just seen, because he seen Tobias was really friends with everybody. But me and him was like really close. And we didn't even tell Manny that. Because I didn't even plan on dating the guy. He wasn't, who was he, right? I was so serious. I was like, who is he? I ain't got to explain myself to you. So, my sister told him. And after I told her, I wasn't going to tell him. And she ended up telling Manny, yeah, you know her and Tobias. You don't know her and Tobias is close? And he looked at me like, I mean, she ain't tell me. We'll get to that story, but he was like, she ain't tell me it was that close. Yeah, they real close. She told me.
And so when she told me that, I remember telling her like, nah, she jealous. It's like she wanna have that friendship or have anything that she got. She wants that same exact thing. It didn't matter if it was friends, relationships, friendships. It didn't matter. She wanted everything that she got. You know, and that's just like.
And I told her she could have it. Because I remember one time I went over to her house and we was talking. It was this trans guy. Was talking about how he got his breast done and stuff that he went through and stuff. And I remember we was talking about hair. And he was talking about what happened with his hair, how he get his hair done. You know, he was transitioning into a woman. And I remember and I remember I ended up showing him my phone of like how my hair looked when it's done. And my sister was like, yeah, she's always had all the hair. What do you need to tell them that for? You know? I was like, I mean, no, my sister has I would try to compliment her. I was like, no, my sister was like, she had good hair too. She had pretty hair. My sister gave me the dirtiest look, like, and she rolled her eyes, and I was like, what's that for? She said, say, you know, I always had issues with my hair. That don't mean it's not pretty. That don't mean that you don't do a good job with it. But if you feel that way about yourself, okay, sure. But yeah, so all of that was happening in the mix of everything. And Tannis didn't like her because he said it felt like I was like mentally like entrapped with her. He said it's something mental with you and your sister. He says like she got her claws in your mind or something, like you a puppet or something. He said that's how he said, John says, I said, my sister don't treat me like no puppet. He said she does. She treats you like you're a puppet, like you're her puppet. He's like, your sister do not care about you. He's like, she wants to break us up, which she did. She told me to leave Tannis too. She did multiple times. She's like, you don't need to be with him. You need to leave him. And she wanted me and her to live together again. Is really what it was. But me and Tannis did end up breaking up, and I ended up messing around with Manny. I didn't plan on dating him. We was just messing around. And I remember my sister, she saw Manny. She met Manny. It was the 4th of July. We had a dinner or whatever. And me and my sister cooked. Tannis came over. Manny came over. And the kids was there. Of course, Tannis felt awkward, so he got up and he left. But he dropped Messiah off so we could have this dinner. And that was me being weird. I don't know what was wrong with me, y'all. I was weird. There was a few things that did show I was mental. Like that right there. Like having, Manny and Tannis. Like, what was wrong with me? Also, should I tell about the time that we almost broke into that house?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah? I wasn't going to tell y'all that. I knew it. I wasn't going to tell y'all. I ain't going to lie. There's certain stuff I was like, I don't know, but I guess I got to expose myself. So here we go. When we were homeless the second time in our cars, me and my sister started talking about manifestation, right? And I had talked about this in the previous video. We started talking about manifestation, manifesting, how we wanted our cars, our house, our husband, our life, our kids, our whatever, right? And we start manifesting on this house, and we drove past this house. We would go sightseeing at different houses. We drove past this house, and we was like, that is the perfect house for us. We start walking around. It didn't look like anybody was there. Nobody was there at the time or lived there at the time. We would walk around the house. We would peek inside the windows and stuff, and it looked beautiful on the inside. We was like, yes, this gonna be our house. We gonna manifest it, watch, and we gonna tell everybody, because everybody was already thinking we were crazy. So we in our cars. Tell me why we start sleeping on this property. Like, our cars are parked in the driveway, and we falling asleep. We slept there for, I want to say, like 2 whole nights. We were homeless. We were sleeping, then we slept there on the property in our cars. And the 3rd night, my sister was like, let's see if we can get in. There was a lockbox that had a combination to it and had a key in. We was trying to figure out, watching YouTube videos, how, you can hear the dial thing and you could click it to know which one is the right one. We were trying to do that. We almost got it open twice, because you felt it loosen. And we were trying to get the key so we can get inside of that house. Guys, that's breaking and entering. That is, even if nobody lived there, that house belongs to the bank. That is breaking and entering. Crazy. How old were we? I was 21. I was 21 year no, yeah, I was 21 year turned 22. So I'm sitting down in this car, and third night we fall asleep, right? Because we couldn't get it open. We fall asleep, we start manifesting. We fall asleep, she in her car, I'm in my car. I end up hearing beep, beep. You're hearing all these trucks and stuff come, and then this guy come boom, 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 banging on my window. I wake up. He's like, "Excuse me, why are you on my property?" And I was like, he's like, "You cannot sleep here. You cannot be here. You guys need to go. Go now. You guys need to leave right now." And we were like, so I get in my car, I start my car up. I tell Ray, "Come on, let's go." I get in her car, and she started going off. And I ain't gonna lie, her energy started to rub off on me. We were absolutely wrong for being on that man's property. That was not our house. It did not belong to us. Even if he had just bought that home, that was not the right place for us. We can't sleep there. But we got an attitude. My sister was like, "That's what I'm talking about. He ain't have to be rude to you banging on your window like that. So what? We sleeping there. You see we homeless. How about you try to help?" That was her response. And I'm over here. I'm so serious. And I agree. I was like, "Yeah, I'm tired of that. They could have helped us out." And she's like, "Yeah, that's why I'm talking. People are always ignorant. People always want to walk past people when they need help." Yeah, we was absolutely wrong. And if that man, I'm so sorry to you. Okay, we apologize. I apologize on my behalf and my sisters. We was wrong. We should not have been. That was breaking and entering, like mental. So then fast forward back to where I was at. Again, mental. Why would I invite both of them there, right? Something wrong with me. Anyways, but I remember we was driving to go pick up some stuff for the dinner, and my sister was like, "I'm so happy you finally found somebody that you could be vulnerable with." And I was like, "Yeah, it feels good." I didn't really know. He wasn't my boyfriend at the time, but I was sleeping with him though. And I was like, "Yeah, it feels good." And da 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 da. She was like, "Yeah, it feels good, yeah." And I know what Tobias is talking about, because we went over to my sister's house. Me and Manny went over to my sister's house. That dinner, that was the last time. The first time we went over to my sister's house, and she wanted us to smoke. She invited us over so we could smoke. So he had brought some, and we all went over there. We were getting, lit, whatever. And I didn't really know how to puff, right? I wasn't very good at it. I didn't smoke, right? I just did it to have fun with them. So I was like, my sister was like, "Yeah, my sister's more of a drinker. She drinks more than she smokes. She don't really smoke like that, but she'll have a drink here and there." And he was like, "Oh, okay, cool." She's like, "I do though," when she was smoking and stuff. Y'all, when she was teaching me how to smoke, he's sitting right here. She's sitting right here. I'm in the middle. She starts doing something inappropriate with the blunt in her mouth and was like, "You know how to," and I said, "What are you doing?" She said, "Okay, but you know how to do that, right?" She said, "Just pretend like that was smoking." What? And I felt, mind you, sense energy. I sensed a heavy energy between her and Manny. Like sexual, lustful energy. To the point to where I got, we all lit, whatever. I'm looking at her and him like, gross. Because, I had already slept with him, and she was giving him eyes. Like, she was kind of looking at him like, gross, because he had already slept with me. You don't sleep with both sisters? Like, what's wrong with you? But that's kind of where my mind went, because that was the energy that was being given off. And he was like, "Yeah, y'all both some beautiful young ladies, this, that, and the third." And my sister, I ain't gonna lie, they probably would have been a better fit for each other, because that was a terrible relationship. But yeah, I was like, "Bro, that's terrible." I was looking at them like, I remember we ended up leaving that night, and I was looking at him like, and he told me he would never mess with my sister. I was like, yeah, about you and my sister, he's you talking about that sexual energy? Because he sensed it too. I was like, "What was that about?" He was like, "That wasn't me." He said, "That was your sister." He said, "I felt it too. It was there." And he said, "Why would she tell you how to put a blunt in your mouth, like suck it?" He said, "She thought I wasn't paying no attention to that." He said, "I paid attention." He said, that was weird. Your sister's weird." And he said, "I would never sleep with her." And I was like, okay. So then I remember that's when we come to the 4th of July dinner, right? The 4th of July dinner, and she said that to me in the car while we going to go get groceries and stuff. She like, "Oh, I'm so glad you found somebody you be going with, blah, blah, blah. Come back." And we talking, y'all, she tells nothing but embarrassing stories about me the entire night. About from when we were a child, how I used to stare at each other, how I used to have bowel problems. Like, she just told a whole bunch of embarrassing stories. And I was laughing too. But you know, I sensed it, but I just ignored it. And then she started talking about, you know, sex again. And she was like, I ain't heard my sister talk about a dude being that good in bed since her first. Why would you say stuff like that? And then that's when she told him about me and Tobias. She was like, yeah, Tobias. And I looked at her. And she's like, oh, you don't know? They're super close. Yeah, they super close. Like, and that same night, I remember her daughter had eaten all of Messiah's baby snacks, all of them. My sister had a smirk on her face. Like, she was like, and she's like, they just baby snacks. They just kids. It's okay. And she went and put her in the corner. Go ahead, get in the corner. She said, I mean, it's just baby snacks. It's not that serious. Okay. So that night ended, and the next day, me and Manny driving to work, and he looks over at me, and he goes, I didn't want to say this while we was all sitting at the table, but your sister's jealous of you. I finally listened, y'all. I finally listened. I'm going to tell you why I finally listened. I finally listened because I never told, with other people, I kind of told them about the kind of back and forth between my dad and my sister. By this time, I wasn't even speaking to my father anymore. But at this, I'm like, I was telling about the back and forth between my sister and my dad and everything. So I kind of feel like they kind of had some prerequisites, you know what I'm saying? I never told Manny anything about my sister. I just said, I have a sister. Don't be saying the B word around her. That's it. I never told him no story, no nothing. So for him to say that, it was definitely something there. You get what I'm saying?
She didn't want to listen to me.
He said she didn't want to listen. I didn't want to listen to nobody. Y'all was messing with my heart for real. No, for real. Like, my sister meant a lot to me. And I really didn't want to let her go. I didn't want to have to. So when he said that, I finally listened. It finally was like, bing! Do you get it now? And he listed a bunch of reasons and things that he noticed. He said, first of all, what kind of sister and tells embarrassing stories about her own sister in front of somebody she don't even know? He said she was telling stories that me and you supposed to be having conversations like that where you tell me stuff like that and we laugh about it. She was saying stuff like that and wanting me to laugh at you. He said, secondly, when we went to her house and she was doing all that stuff with the blunt and the sexual energy, the way she was looking at me, he said, your sister was looking at me like something. He's like, you know, he said, thirdly, he was like, he said she was happy that her daughter ate all of your son's snacks. She thought it was funny for real. She probably told her daughter, good job when she left the house. He was like, I'm okay. I mean, but she sees a sister with everything she wants. And she wants that for herself. He said she feels like she's the older sister, but you're doing better than her in life. She don't like that. That's everything he said. And I was just sitting there like, no. And I remember a couple days later, I was asleep. Manny had to get up and go do something. My sister called him. She called him and asked him, hey, can you come? She never called me. She didn't call me and be like, hey, is it cool if your boyfriend or your dude take me to go do this, do that? No, she called him on her own will, okay? And said, hey, can you come pick me up from this spot? Da, 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 da. He goes to go pick her up, whatever. I think she gave him $50. I don't know what happened. But he said she gave him that look again. And I said, well, no wonder you got your shirt unbuttoned. I did tell him that. You got your shirt. And he had a nice body on him. I was like, you got your shirt unbuttoned. But he was kind of looking at me like, because he knew I was being naive. And I was just like, okay, I get it. And he was like, look. He was like, yo, she ain't good for you for real. He's like, she's not. He said, she wants to see you at the bottom of a pit. Do you remember my dad said that same thing? If you watch part 1, my dad said that same thing to me years ago. I told y'all. He said the same exact verbiage. She wants to see you at the bottom of a pit. Man, he said the same thing. He's like, she wants to see you at the bottom of a pit. I couldn't deny that. I couldn't. And she was texting him and she was texting him and everything. I was like, what is, and he ended up telling her to stop. He was like, yo, why is your sister texting me? Like she had texted him something about like, hey, something about his mom or something. I'm like, and he was like, he looked at his phone. He says, your sister texting you? I was like, no. He said, what's she texting me for? He said, why is your sister calling and texting me without checking in with you first? He said, she coming at me. She wanted him, y'all. I seen that look. I felt that energy. She wanted him. I seen it. I was like, my sister wants you. I'm going to be honest. She do. She wants you for herself. And how evil he got towards me, she wouldn't have wanted him out there. He was evil for real. I pray for him now. I genuinely do. I pray for him now. But how evil? No. But yeah, so my sister ended up calling me like a week after that, and she cuts me off. She was like, do you remember? Because we had cut our father off. And during that time, she told me if I didn't get my act together, or if there came a time where she had to cut me off, she would. I didn't even know what she meant. For real, that was her discard. Narcissists will discard you to try to draw you in. They feel like they want you to chase after them. They want to know. It's their way of testing how deep they got you. So if a narcissist discards you and you like, no, please don't do that, they know they got you. And that's what she was doing. I was like, what would you have to cut me? Yeah, they want to reel you in. So my sister did that to me a lot. Would try to say I wasn't being a good enough sister. Like one time she had told me, we was talking, I had apologized to my sister because I was like, I'm sorry I didn't see your trauma because I didn't even see my own trauma. We have finally had that talk about our parents, the abuse. We did all of that. We cleared the air, y'all. My sister calls back and we on the phone again. She brings it right back up. Yeah, you always used to tell on me and you used to do this and they would. And I was like, what? She said, I would tell you stuff and you would go and tell mama and mama would tell daddy I would get in trouble. Like you always got me in trouble. I was like, okay, Ray, hold on. First of all, I was younger than you. She said, you should have known better. She's talking about times where I was 5 and 6 years old. Why are you placing that responsibility on the 5? I was supposed to be a child. That's what I was supposed to be. So I remember I said, Ray, let me put this in a perspective you can understand. If Riley feels uncomfortable, if somebody comes to Riley and tells her something that makes her feel uncomfortable, who is she going to go to? And Ray got quiet. I said, you, her mother, exactly. Now, whatever mama chose to do with that information I gave her, it's on her. And whatever dad chose to do after he found out, it's on him. You are not going to sit here and blame me because that's what it was all these years, y'all. She was blaming me. My sister genuinely felt like if I had not been born, she would have had a better life. If I had not been born, she would have been the one that was close with my mom and not me. She would have had a better relationship with our father instead of me. If I had not been born, her life would have been better. Instead of actually holding our parents accountable for who they chose to be towards her. It was my fault, right? And me and her got into it about that. And I remember it got to a point to where I was like, she brought it up so much. I was like, listen, I'm not about to talk to you. I said, you need to let that stuff go. She's like, what? I said, let it go. That stuff happened when we were children. We are grown now. You have had, she was like 28 at this time. I said, Ray, you have literally had control over your life for about 10 years now. So I'm sorry, but if your life don't look the way you want it, that is your fault. You don't get to sit there and use our parents as a crutch. Because what she would do, she would use her pain as a crutch to treat other people a certain way. Her pain as a crutch to seek sympathy and to be who she was. She would use it as a crutch. Well, I'm this way because of my parents. No, you're this way because you refuse to get a job. No, you're this way because you refuse to take accountability for your actions. No, you're this way because you refuse to keep the stability that you know you and your children are going to need to be and live a stable, growing life. That is your fault. And I held her accountable. She ain't like it. So fast forward back. She was like, so remember that time I told you when it comes time, like if I ever have to cut you off, well, that time is now. So yeah, she was like, you don't mother my children. She said, you always expect me to be a mother to your child, but you can't be a mother to my children. Y'all, This is what she said. You have always been jealous of me. That's what she said to me. She said, you have always been jealous of me. You always want everything I got. You every time I have something, you want it too. Like, I don't think I could be around somebody like that who doesn't wish me well. I started laughing, y'all. I was like, I said, are you serious? Is that Don Don? But I was like, are you serious? I said, you can't truly believe what you're saying right now, right? And she said, well, it doesn't really matter. Like, me and you don't even talk anymore. Okay, bye. Cut me off. I called Manny upset, and he said, you know what, I got you. And he said, nah, everything that she said about you is really, everything that she said you was to her, that's really how she feels about you. She's really been jealous of you. And I remember I told her, I said, what are you talking about? I haven't been a mother to your kids. I was the only one watching your daughter. You only watched her about 8 times. You ain't never did nothing for me. That's what she said to me. You've never done nothing for me. You ain't never been here for me. You ain't loyal. And she used to say that all the time too. You ain't loyal. And I remember one time Terrence was like, loyal? What is she, a cult member? Loyal? What? He said, look, something wrong with your sister, man. She need help. And she said that again. She said, you ain't loyal. My sister wanted me to have nothing. She wanted me to have nothing unless it was dependent on her. Then if it was dependent on her, she wanted me to take care of her, give her money, give her whatever she wanted. And at first I was for a while. I was paying her cell phone bill. I would buy her razors, shampoo, facial care, intimate care. I was doing all of that. I would at first. But eventually it got to a point to where I told my sister that I wasn't going to pay her cell phone bill anymore. I had paid her cell phone bill for 6 years. And I was like, I can't, Messiah was about to be born. I was like, I can't pay your cell phone bill anymore. My son's about to be born. I need this money for him. And she got mad. She got angry that I wasn't going to pay her cell phone bill anymore. But she cut me off. So I ended up getting upset. I tried to talk to her. She started going off. We started going back and forth. And I said, the way she was talking, I said, you sound like Dad. She said, she started laughing. She said, hello. She said, like father, like daughter. That's when I realized her and my father was the exact same person. She had turned into my father. You know how they say, if you don't, y'all listen to this, if you do not heal from your wounds and you hate something, you become the thing that you hate. You also become the pain. My sister never healed. She never healed from those wounds, and she hated my father. She became the man that she hated, and she became all of that pain and that trauma because she never healed from it. And she victimized herself. It is actually a sin to victimize yourself because God tells you to give it to him. Yahweh tells you to hand it to him. And when you give him your glory and your pain, he gives you his peace. You are not allowed to victimize yourself. It is a sin to do so. She victimized herself. That's why people say, I have the victory of Jesus, because he gives you that victory. He allows you to conquer that pain, that hurt. And the only way out of the pain is through. You can't do drugs. You can't do sex. You can't do dating. You can't turn to this, turn. Eventually, all roads lead to the same thing if you do not turn to Jesus. You will end up having everything you've ever wanted and no substance. So that's why you see all these rich people having everything they've ever wanted, but yet they still feel the need to do a whole bunch of drugs. Everything they've ever wanted, but they're still committing suicide. Suicide rates are very high for those who are in the 1% and, living that lavish lifestyle. They all want to commit suicide. They're all on drugs. Why is that? Because they're still, even though they feel like they've gained in everything physically or materialistically, things of the flesh, their spirit is still starving. Their spirit has all these holes. Not only that, but through those drugs, they're actually opening themselves to demonic entities and attacks who just make them feel worse. Yes. And then they get stuck in a cycle. And that is exactly what happened with my sister. So, please, If anybody has ever hurt you, forgive them. Forgiveness truly is not for the other person. It is for yourself. Because you break the chains. You let them know you do not have power over me. You let them know I don't care what you did. You actually pray for them. You pray for them. You pray that they give their life over to Christ. And you let them know when you forgive, this is for me to set myself free because I don't deserve to be in bondage with that pain that you inflicted onto me. And I'm going to forgive you for that pain. I'm going to love you for that pain because also for that pain, it has allowed me to become stronger. Me and my sister come back together one last time. And I'm not going to lie, y'all, I didn't trust her anymore at this point. She does my hair. And I remember our birthdays were going to be coming up later that year. That's what she looked good too. But she does my hair, and I remember we were going to end up having our birthdays that later in that year, and I was like, hey, so I was thinking we could go like to Vegas because we always talked about like a trip and stuff together. And she was like, her and Teresa were back talking again. They would go off and whisper or whatever, you know, same old story. And she was like, I don't know. She was like, she had met a new guy named Brandon. And that was another thing. My sister, she cycled through a lot of dudes at this point. I'm not going to go into all her sleep history, but she started cycling through dudes. Because she was using them. But she had met this dude named Brandon. And she was talking about, she said, yeah, if we go, Brandon can come too. And he can watch my kids. I said, Ray, you don't even know Brandon. She said, I do know him. You just met him. Why would you leave him alone with your children? Anyway, she ain't like that I said that either. I was like, I mean, Vegas is not a place for kids anyway. I said, so how about we go somewhere kid-friendly like Florida? And she was like, I don't know. We'll think about it. Her and Teresa was like, yeah, we'll think about it. And I'm like, all right. I already knew I was going to be the one paying for everything, right? I was like, all right, cool. So I was like, we'll think about it. I said, okay, I'll check in a few weeks now and y'all let me know. I said, because I feel like we can have a good birthday trip, have fun, you know, so on and so forth. The kids can bond, you know. So it was like almost like 3 weeks to a month later. I check in. I'm like, hey, so have y'all decided if we're going to go to Vegas or Florida? She discards me again. And that was the last discard she was ever going to give to me again. She was like, babe, did you put something in the oven? Mm-hmm. What you put in the oven?
The real barbecue sauce. I was wondering like that.
Did you put the vegetables and stuff in there?
Yeah.
Take that out. It's going to burn.
Put it in there. All right.
You don't smell that?
It's the barbecue sauce I just put on there.
I'm sorry, y'all. I'm sorry. We're getting dinner ready. He warming up what I had cooked last night for dinner. But, I was... Yeah, because I had warmed it up earlier. Okay, baby. All right, you do you. You do you, boo. But yeah, so I was like, have y'all decided what y'all was going to do with Vegas or Florida? And she was like, yeah, so about that. And I remember I had asked her to help me take my hair down too that same day. And she was like, she told me no, pretty much. She was like, look, it's not that hard to take your hair down. Just do it. I had faux locks in. She said, oh my God, it's not that hard. And I'm like, all right, cool. Teresa didn't like me. None of my sister's friends liked me. And now I realize it's because my sister was talking a whole bunch of crap about me. I ended up finding that out later. My sister talked a whole bunch of crap about me. She would tell them how I was jealous of her, so on and so forth. How I was jealous of her, trying to mimic her and copy her with everything. Like, none of her friends liked me. So Teresa and her came to this conclusion together because Teresa didn't want me to go, pretty much. But also my sister, you know, she was like, so yeah, about that, me and Teresa decided that we're gonna both go to Vegas and Florida. We don't really care if you come. This was supposed to be, I did this because it was supposed to be our birthday trip. And she's like, yeah, I mean, we don't really care if you come. I mean, you can come if you want to. You don't have to. But regardless of what you do, we going either way. We going to both Vegas and Florida. We about to turn up. So, yeah, do whatever you want. We don't care. Y'all, when I tell y'all that was the final straw for me, I was tired. I was like, you know what? That's it. No more. This is gonna be the last time you're gonna discard me. I'm done. Okay? I'm tired of you punishing me for pain that I never caused. Because you don't want to heal and you want to see yourself as a victim. You know what? I texted her back, I said, okay. I blocked her number. I deleted her number. I never really spoke to my sister again. Never saw her again, nothing. Nothing. I couldn't. I was done. I have not seen or spoken to my sister since. She ended up unfriending me on Facebook the year before last. Okay, sure. I was tired. Now, I forgave my sister. Not for everything. I'm working on it. But I forgave her for a lot. And I do pray and hope that she's in a better place now. I hope that she's doing well. I am sorry for what happened because one of her baby dads did call me and he told me what happened with her and the kids. And I am sorry for that. I really do hope that my sister does better in life. I do. I hope that she heals. I hope that those demons get delivered off of her and that she is no longer her pain, because she is more powerful than that. She needs to understand that she has more power than that. And my sister actually admitted to me that she was my narcissist. She was like, I became your narcissist. She did tell me that, like, right before or right after me and her started talking again after the first time she cut me off. She did tell me that. And that was right after the first time Manny had hit me. She was like, I became your narcissist. She wasn't wrong. My sister, my dad was super narcissistic towards her and me, but mainly her. She became that way towards me. I pray that she gets set free, because that was one of the hardest things I've ever had to do. I grew tired enough because I started to love myself and my peace. And, you know, Tobias knows, because he was the one that was consoling me. I came to him crying. No, I came to this man crying. It hurt. It hurt a lot. And I was just like, I don't understand. I looked up to her. I wanted us to be best friends. I tried and I tried and I tried. And we've been through so much together. I was like, could you imagine going through all this stuff with somebody who secretly hates you? And all you want to do is love them. I've done a lot of healing from it. It used to hurt. Like for an entire year, I missed her. And it hurt a lot. And then eventually it became easy. So that's the story. And that's why me and my sister no longer talk. I pray for her healing. I pray for my healing. I pray for my niece and my nephew. And y'all just don't victimize yourself. God, Yahweh can deliver you from anything, any hurt, any pain. He is way more powerful, and he will give you his victory and his peace. Always remember that. When you become the victim, you give the enemy your power. Because then you tell him, it's okay to use me to now hurt other people. Don't give him that power. I actually want to close the night with a prayer, Mr. Robbins. Nope, I'm going to have you pray this time. I prayed. Yes.
Oh, pardon my knee felt that.
All right.
Lord, as we pray right now, Father, Lord, dip everyone inside the blood of Jesus. Thank you for waking us up this morning. Thank you for being with us, Father, Lord. As we pray with this video, Father, Lord, let it touch the people, Father, Lord. Bless them, Father, Lord. Give them peace, patience, tolerance, endurance, and understanding of every single situation that they've been through, Father, Lord. Let them be able to give back. Let them be able to give back every single hurt, every single pain. Give it all back to you, Father, Lord. Any type of manipulation spirits or anything, Father, Lord, they went through, Father, Lord. Narcissism, Father, Lord. sexual assault, Father Lord, any type of abuse they went through, Father Lord, let them all give it back to you in the mighty name of Jesus, Father Lord. Any type of financial situations they going through right now, Father Lord, anything going on with their children, of anything that they feel like they can't control, Father Lord, let them all give it back to you in the mighty name of Jesus, Father Lord, for you are the Alpha, you are the Omega, you are the beginning, you are the end, Father Lord. I pray over everyone now, Father Lord, from any type of demonic attacks, Father Lord, from the enemy, Father Lord. Let them all integrate every single thing inside of their bodies that they done healed from, Father Lord. That way the devil cannot come back in, or the enemy cannot come back in and use that against them again, Father Lord. Let them repent for their sins, Father Lord. And let them forgive, Father Lord, themselves, forgive the family members or whoever hurt them, Father Lord. In the mighty name of Jesus, Father Lord. Let this video, Father Lord, touch the hearts and souls of people for we love and thank you for. In Jesus' name we pray.
Amen. Bye, y'all.